is another Thank God Friday to the start of the weekend, everyone. I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I'm Grace Agbaragu. It's the 13th of February. We thank you for joining us.
Now, Ghana has cut its farmgate cocoa price to 41,392 cedis per ton to align with global markets and boost demand after a sharp fall. Gail Atto-Forsing said Cocoa Bud has been directed to repay farmers immediately and will introduce a new financing model using domestic cocoa bonds tied to sales within the crop year. The government also plans to link farmers to global markets and guarantee farmers at least 70% of the free on-board price, while targeting an increase in local cocoa processing to at least 50% by the 2026/2027 season. Meanwhile, Afreximbank and the Central Bank of Egypt have signed a memorandum of understanding to advance the establishment of a Pan-African gold bank in Egypt. The initiative aims to formalize Africa's gold value chains, strengthen central bank reserves, and reduce dependence on foreign refining and trading hubs. Here are excerpts.
I would like to welcome you all to the Central Bank of Egypt, and our team, I believe you already know each other, and we're here for a and this falls right within the mission of Afreximbank. And at the same time, as you might have noticed, that the Central Bank of Egypt here is a very strong believer of Africa, and we have been putting a lot of effort, all of us, through Afreximbank specifically, in order to cooperate and to try to do well for Egypt and for Africa.
Intended to take that relationship even deeper in a way that is heavily of some impact to our continent, to also give us the vision in our continent.
The governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, Hassan Abdallah Rouleh, and the president of the African Export-Import Bank, George Lumbi, that we just listened to. Meanwhile, South Africa will establish an independent power transmission company, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced, reaffirming the government's plan to unbundle Eskom Holdings SOC Limited. The newest state-owned entity will own and control transmission assets and be responsible for operating the country's electricity market, Ramaphosa told lawmakers during his State of the Nation address in Cape Town. In earnings news, NNPC, Nigeria's state-owned oil company, has reported after-tax profits of 5.76 trillion naira for 2025. The company recorded total revenue of 60.517 trillion naira, with statutory payments to government agencies and partners amounting to 14.706 trillion naira. Average crude and condensate output was 1.62 million barrels per day, while December production dipped slightly to 1.54 million barrels per day due to maintenance and unplanned outages. NNPC said downstream operations improved, with petrol availability rising at Nigerian refining limited stations, and upstream pipelines reported 100% availability, supporting stable supply and infrastructure performance. At the Sub-Saharan Africa International Petroleum Summit, speaking at the African Local Content Forum session, Solomon Ewanehi Group Managing Director of Solowant Group, shared insights on the company's pipeline engagements in Kenya and the role of African engineering firms in cross-border energy projects. Let's listen.
Of course, as we progress, because right now we around other African countries. We were in Nigeria during the IATF conference. We were in Accra, Ghana, and going to other areas like Kenya. Some of the members from Kenya will be signing agreements with some of the Kenyan companies in next few hours from now. We also had a whole lot that are coming up. So we do need partners. We do need to harness and collaborate. Like I talked about 6 factories in one center, and talking about Solowant subsidiary company, 6 subsidiary companies. And these companies have their managing directors in this conference, and they are now entering these African countries to be able to showcase the stuff that we are made of, the capacity that we have been able to build over the past 26 years, now taking it to the next level. We currently have that are being built in, for instance, in China, are designed from Europe. And we have also been able to have this design since 2007, but we've not been able to take it to the next level. But in 2016, we have been able to take this to the...
Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency says world oil demand will rise more slowly than expected in 2026, while global supply surplus of 3.73 million barrels per day, equivalent to nearly 4% of global demand. Oil demand is forecast to grow by 850,000 barrels per day, down 80,000 barrels per day from last month, as higher prices. Supply fell 1.2 million barrels per day in January due to outages in Kazakhstan and elsewhere, while OPEC Plus has paused output hikes for the first quarter, with members to meet on March 1. The operator reported a net profit of 6.969 million, 88% from 2024 due to a low base from a local loop unbundling settlement with Warner Corporate. Excluding one-offs, adjusted net profit fell 4.9% to 5.649 billion dirhams as the company invested 25.6% of revenue in 5G rollouts. Consolidated revenue slipped 0.1% to 36.6 billion dirhams. Customer numbers rose 3% to 77 million, driven by African subsidiaries under the Move Africa. Remained stable at 20 was declared. Finally, on chat with IFAD President Alvaro Lario to discuss how young economic transformation. Let's now listen to him.
We founded the Tony Melu Foundation 15 years ago, and I'm happy to say that to date we have supported over 24,000 young African men and women, each one given a non-refundable seed capital of $5,000 and trained for 12 weeks, and mentors appointed for them, etc. Out of this, about 21% of these entrepreneurs are in the agri-business and agriculture space. And out of about 5,400 people benefited from this program, and they are invested in agriculture and businesses. And out of the 55% of them are women, females, okay? And we like that because we've seen that empowering women is like empowering communities, nations, etc. And they succeed. And it's not by chance that we have 2 of our panelists here, women. And what we have seen, the people we have supported, is that they have helped to create jobs for people on the continent. These 5,000 plus have created about 480,000 jobs on the continent. They've contributed significant revenue growth in the economy. But why are they succeeding? To me, they are not succeeding just because of the non-refundable seed capital we gave to them. They are succeeding because progressively the operating environment is gradually improving. I want to commend IFA critical and also for helping to scale value chain businesses, etc. in the communities. We funded the Tony Melu Foundation.
And that's it. We'll have updates from Grace at the FMDQ Archives Room.
Key strategic priorities for 2026 were approved by the IOSCO board after assessing the vulnerabilities in the market, prioritizing the work streams and keeping capacity to address new development. And these priorities are, firstly, strengthening financial resilience and market effectiveness. Secondly, of course, protecting investors, but also the evolution of public and private markets, technology transformation, and last but not least, the DNA of IOSCO successful story, promoting regulatory cooperation and effectiveness. Ensuring the resilience of the global financial system is a key pillar of IOSCO mandate. What does it mean? Well, it means that in 2026, IOSCO will look, for instance, into the impact of extended trading hours on trading venues and continue to work on financial market infrastructure, focusing on third-party risk and cyber resilience.
The Monetary Policy Committee improved food and energy prices. Over the 12 months to January 2026, annual headline inflation averaged 3.5%, while core inflation averaged 3.8%. Headline inflation edged up marginally to 3.2% in January 2026 from the 3.1% in December 2025, reflecting higher inflation in some core components, partly offset by a decline in food crop inflation.
All right, welcome back.
Thank you, Melissa. We are back to the final trading day of the week, starting off with the equities as usual. The Nigerian Stock Exchange surged 2.06% to close at 182,107.12, while the BRVM in Abidjan climbed 1.10% to 387.51. The Nairobi Securities Exchange advanced 1.72% to 216.69. In South Africa, The Johannesburg Stock Exchange slipped 1.35%, and in North Africa, Morocco's MASI eased 0. Let's do a quick round on some of the Pan-African currencies. The Rand weakened 0.45% to 16.04 against the US dollar. The Egyptian pound was almost flat, up 0.01% at 46.84, while the CFA franc straightened 0.12%. The Kenyan shilling was unchanged at 128.99. The Moroccan dirham firmed 0.10%, while the naira strengthened 0.27% to 1,354 naira 68 kobo as at 12:56 GMT. Ledger prices. Brent crude slipped 0.58% to $67.13, while US WTI declined 0.72% to $62.39. Natural gas fell 1.83% to $3.15, and Arabia gasoline dropped 0.93% to $1.89 as at 12:50 GMT. Finally, two metals prices. Gold rose 0.85% to $4,990.40, while copper eased 0.60% to $5.75. Platinum edged down 0.09%, and aluminium slid 3.84% to $3,033.77. Iron ore softened 0.22% to $100.37 as at 12:52 GMT. And that's how money moves markets today. Back to you, Melissa.
Grace, thank you very much for those updates and how the markets wrapped up on the last day of the week. And that is it on today's edition of Money Moves. From me and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you very much for watching and do have a splendid weekend.